Hello everyone, today we will explore a touching story about the fated love between Ly Tu Diep and CEO James. Ly Tu Diep, an orphan, lives in extremely difficult circumstances, having been sold to the Pao family and enduring a life full of suffering and disrespect. Will she be able to find a way out of this darkness? And can her unexpected love with CEO James, who has just returned from abroad, be strong enough to change her fate? But their love isn't easy, as they face strong opposition from James' family. Will they be able to overcome everything and build a happy family together? Let's follow this story to discover the challenges they overcame and how powerful their love is to allow them to live happily together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on interesting and inspiring stories in future videos. Ly Tu Diep grew up in a life filled with hardship and pain. As an orphan, without parents to love and care for her, she had to endure a life of loneliness and emotional deprivation from an early age. Her life from birth was tied to struggle and loss. When she was young, she was adopted by a family, but that was only a temporary respite, as fate once again threw her into a tragic situation. She was sold to the Pao family for the price of 2 buffaloes. From that moment, she became Pao's wife, a man with whom she had no affection and received no love. Life in the Pao household was a long, painful, and dreary ordeal. Despite being his wife, Ly Tu Diep never had a real place in the family. Pao didn't just fail to love her, he constantly blamed her for every issue in the family. He couldn't have children, yet he blamed her for the family's misfortune. Every time she looked into his cold eyes, she felt abandoned and worthless. What was even worse was the disrespect and contempt from her in-laws, who treated her as though she was of no value. Ly Tu Diep endured constant criticism, scorn, and injustice in silence. She couldn't retaliate or speak up because every time she did, Pao and his family would distance themselves from her even further. Her life became one of tension and absence of love. The feeling of abandonment grew stronger when Pao decided to marry a second wife, a young and beautiful woman who could bear children, something Pao had always desired. She, unable to provide him with that joy, was cast out of the house mercilessly. At that moment, Ly Tu Diep didn't know where to go, and she didn't know what her future would be. All she could do was walk away in her solitude and despair. She walked on an empty road, tears streaming down her face, her heart heavy with emptiness. She didn't know where she was headed or what would become of her, but all she could do was take each painful step, feeling the weight of life pressing down on her. Then, as everything seemed to fall apart, a miracle happened. CEO James, who had just returned from abroad, happened to meet Ly Tu Diep as she was walking alone in the dark. He saw this poor, sorrowful, lonely girl and could feel the depth of her pain. Though they had never met before, the sorrow in her eyes moved James deeply. He couldn't ignore her situation. Without thinking for long, CEO James decided to stop and speak to her. He approached Ly Tu Diep, and in that moment, as she looked at him with tears in her eyes, it was as though she was searching for a glimmer of hope in the darkness. James, with his kind heart, decided to help her. He didn't ask much about her past but simply offered her a place to stay, giving her temporary shelter and security. Moved by Jane's sincere kindness, Ly Tu Diep began to see a flicker of hope in her life. Although she didn't know much about him, his concern and caring demeanor helped soothe the pain she had carried for so long. With just one small act of kindness, James gave her belief in a brighter future. This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, where she no longer felt worthless or abandoned. The bond between Ly Tu Diep and James started with simple help, but in this moment, their feelings for each other began to grow. Although James knew that their relationship would face many challenges and obstacles, he was determined to protect and love her. From this moment on, the story of Ly Tu Diep and CEO James became not just a journey of overcoming hardship but also a journey of love and hope, where two hearts found each other in a world full of challenges. After rescuing Ly Tu Diep from her tragic situation, CEO James did not simply buy her freedom from her husband, but gave her a new opportunity, a fresh start. Ly Tu Diep, who had been abandoned by society and the Pao family, now had a new home, a safe place where she could begin again. Although James was busy with work, he still made time to care for her so she could gradually stabilize her life. He took her to his family's orange farm, where the air was fresh and peaceful, creating an ideal environment for Ly Tu Diep to rediscover herself. At first, Ly Tu Diep felt strange and uncertain in this new life. After years of mistreatment, she didn't know how to adjust to this new environment. However, with James' genuine care, she gradually found comfort and stability. Each day that passed, she started to feel a lightness that she had never dreamed of before. James was not just the man who saved her from suffering, but also a companion, someone she could trust. Despite being a successful businessman, James took time from his busy schedule to care for Ly Tu Diep. He understood that she needed time to heal, that she needed a calm space to recover from her emotional wounds. He made sure to provide her with that space, whether it was sharing a walk through the orchard or simply enjoying the fresh air together. Every morning, they would walk together in the orange grove, admiring the ripe fruits and breathing in the fresh air. These quiet moments of peace and happiness were rare for Ly Tu Diep, but they became the foundation for her healing. Over time, their bond deepened. Despite the fact that Ly Tu Diep was an unfortunate woman and James was a successful man, the painful experiences both had endured fostered a deep empathy between them. Ly Tu Diep not only found love in James but also found respect and understanding. He never saw her as useless or unworthy. Instead, he encouraged her to rise up, embrace her strengths, and rediscover her faith in herself. James, while knowing that their relationship would face many challenges, was determined to protect and love her wholeheartedly. He knew that his family and friends would not easily accept their relationship, especially considering Ly Tu Diep's difficult past. However, James firmly believed that their love was genuine, and he was willing to do whatever it took to protect that love. Every moment together, whether quiet or full of conversation about the future, strengthened their bond. Ly Tu Diep gradually realized that not all men were like Pao, cold, indifferent, and cruel. James was not just a talented businessman, but a man with a warm heart full of love. She felt a sense of safety and affection in his embrace, something she had never experienced in all her years. Although James had faced many challenges in life, he never allowed fear or difficulties to interfere with his love for her. He knew that love wasn't always easy, but with persistence and sincerity, he believed they could overcome anything together. As their love grew, Ly Tu Diep also began to rediscover herself. She started dreaming of a future she had never dared to imagine before. Their relationship was not just a simple love story, but a journey of rebirth, of overcoming obstacles together, and ultimately finding complete happiness. Although the love between Ly Tu Diep and CEO James was deep and passionate, they couldn't avoid the significant challenges life threw at them. One of the biggest obstacles they faced was the strong opposition from James' father. He was a man who highly valued family and reputation, and he could not accept Ly Tu Diep, believing that she was not worthy of their family. James' father thought that Ly Tu Diep came from a poor background, with no parents and a painful past. He believed she couldn't bring stability and prestige to their family. This opposition greatly saddened and hurt James. He loved Ly Tu Diep with all his heart, and he couldn't understand why his father couldn't see the genuine love they shared. However, despite the criticism and tension in the family, the love between James and Ly Tu Diep remained strong and resilient. They didn't let his father's words shake their belief in each other. Instead, they faced these challenges together, building a solid future for their little family. Despite all the difficulties, James and Ly Tu Diep decided to get married. This was an important decision, not only because of their love but also because they wanted to prove to themselves and those around them that true love could overcome all obstacles. They had a simple yet emotional wedding, attended by close friends and loved ones. Their wedding wasn't extravagant but a testament to their sincere love and determination to create a happy future together. After the wedding, their life entered a new chapter. They began to build their family, and soon after, they welcomed the birth of their two adorable children, Jack and Emily. The children were a beautiful gift from life, a joy they had never dared to dream of. Ly Tu Diep and James cared for their children, teaching them good values, and creating a loving and nurturing environment for them. Their family life gradually became stable and happy. Though there were still challenges and difficulties, James and Ly Tu Diep always overcame everything together. They supported each other in their work, cared for each other in difficult times, and created countless happy moments for each other and their children. Their love grew stronger over time, and they were always grateful to have found each other in life. After many years of living happily, James' father finally realized the genuine love between him and Ly Tu Diep. He saw the care, sacrifice, and effort both of them had put into building a happy family. He recognized that although Ly Tu Diep didn't come from a prestigious family, she had a big heart and sincere love. Eventually, he accepted their relationship and gave his blessing to their marriage. Their happiness was a long journey, not always easy, but it was their love and perseverance that helped them overcome everything. Ly Tu Diep and James lived happily together with their children, building a complete and warm family. Their life together was proof of the power of love, sacrifice, and determination. Despite all the challenges they faced, they always believed that true love would help them overcome any obstacle and bring them true happiness.
Chào các bạn, hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng khám phá một câu chuyện đầy cảm động về tình yêu, định mệnh giữa Ly Tu Diep và CEO James. Ly Tu Diep, một cô gái mồ côi, phải sống trong hoàn cảnh vô cùng khó khăn khi bị bán cho gia đình Pao và chịu đựng một cuộc sống đầy đau khổ và sự coi thường. Liệu rằng cô có thể tìm được một lối thoát tối tăm này? Và tình yêu bất ngờ với CEO James, người vừa trở về từ nước ngoài, có đủ mạnh mẽ để thay đổi số phận của cô. Những tình yêu của họ có thể đạt được dễ dàng không? Và phải đối mặt với sự phản đối gay gắt từ gia đình James. Liệu họ có thể vượt qua được tất cả để xây dựng một gia đình hạnh phúc? Hãy cùng theo dõi câu chuyện để xem họ có thể vượt qua những thử thách và đến được với nhau không các bạn nhé.